Welcome back, folks, to another exciting part of Final Fantasy VIII. That is part 29. We are exploring the secret dungeon of Deepsea Research Center. And Zell's going to open up by letting us know that, hey, if we ask him very nice, we can learn a little bit about this place, which is also known as Battleship Island. So Zell's going to talk about the Deepsea Research Center. And this is going to be the dungeon where we are going to collect the last two Guardian Forces in the game. This is also potentially going to be the longest part of the Let's Play, mainly because I wanted to tackle this dungeon in one part. I could have divided it in two parts, but I want to get this dungeon over and done with in this one part. So Zell explains what his whole spew about the Deepsea Research Center is, and Zell's like, well, not Zell, Squall's like, I should probably give Zell more credit. You know, he is my best friend. Now, in this first part of the Deepsea Research Center, this core is going to glow, and the core is going to state the rules. The blue light leads to death. Turn back. So basically, it's basically red light, green light, so to speak. It's Final Fantasy's version of it. Now, you're going to walk when there's no light, and then you're going to stop when there is light. If you walk when there is light, then you'll immediately be taken to a battle. The battles aren't that hard, but they're annoying when the light does a fake out. That is, it'll act like it's turned off, but at a split second, it'll change to like flashing really quickly. Now, the battles here aren't too difficult. They're mainly Condors. I'm trying to think of things. Blood Souls, I think that's what they're called. And I want to say, not geezers, Beals. I think Beals are in here too. These battles are not too difficult. Yeah, those are Blood Souls and Condors. Condors, I think, are going to be the hardest enemies, normal enemies to deal with. But of course, we got Odin to clean up house for us, so that's always wonderful. So Odin, do be a deer and cut those enemies to size. Now, that said, before you make it to the middle of the room where that tube is at, make sure you are equipped to resist fire, thunder, and wind magic, and you have ice equipped to your elemental attack junction. And also make sure you have a high vitality stat. You should have a decently high magic command, magic stat, and then make sure you have your magic command and maybe draw command, and then also maybe recover or revive. That way you can instantly, bring someone back into the fight if they get knocked out or if they get really low on HP. Now, again, just walk when there's no light, and then stop when there's light. So basically, red light, green light, so to speak. And you see that the light kind of flickered and got brighter. And as long as you do this, you won't run into any random encounters. So there's that. And this place, I really like the music. I know this music's been played before in some parts, but it kind of really gives the eeriness of the dungeon. Now, once we get to the middle, it's going to ask us the first question, which there's only one answer, so just answer. And then we're going to be thrown into battle with a ruby dragon. Now, this dragon will probably have its high level spells. Well, this one that I'm fighting won't, but it could have potentially had the higher end spells. Now, the higher end spells are going to include Meteor and Flare, which are some of the best junction spells in the game as well. So if you haven't gotten those, I would recommend go ahead and draw on those. Now, if you want to cheese these dragons, like I just did right there, equip Break to your status attack and petrify them. Another character can have Death equipped to their status junction. That would help a lot. On the second question, answer Never, and then you'll go into another battle with a ruby dragon. You have to fight two of these. Now this one for me, unfortunately, I'm going to get back attacked, and then it's going to decide to breathe on me. And breathe for a ruby dragon is a physical attack, so being back attack is one of the worst scenarios that could have happened. And what I should have done here is I should just use one Phoenix. Now I'm not going to get a game over, but this could have ended very, very badly for me if I wasn't careful. Now luckily for me, I do have Mega Phoenix. Now, Mega Phoenix to revive and a Mega Elixir to fully heal my party. So I'm going to actually spend a few minutes here drawing Meteor and Flare. So I'm going to jump cut once I start getting to that pattern. But of course, these dragons are susceptible to break, and I'm going to utilize that to my advantage. And break and death are going to be fantastic spells to have your assassin junction throughout this entire dungeon. A lot of these battles are kind of difficult to really difficult, and any spell that you can give yourself and to equip to yourself to give yourself an edge is going to come in very, 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 very handy. So with that, we already got our spells. So I'm going to go ahead and start hitting this thing, and this should petrify it. Yep, so it's petrified. We beat that ruby dragon. Then next, we're going to be asked a third question with a hidden answer. So you're going to select the third answer, which is it's in our nature. So it's in our nature. Squall is going to muse on this question. Maybe there is no real reason. Maybe we were born only to fight. And that voice inside that blue tube is going to find his answer very interesting and amusing. And we're going to be thrust into battle against my favorite guardian force and summon of Final Fantasy VIII, and also in all of Final Fantasy, Bahamut, the King of Dragons. Now, Bahamut's going to do a little bit of talking here. Now, if you had initiative equipped, you could have selected some commands while this talk is happening. I forgot. I could have had Doom Train going the whole time. That way I can summon Doom Train and basically just neuter Bahamut. Lower his defenses to 0 and blind him, but I forgot to do that. So Doom Train is going to try to get summoned, but it's going to ultimately fail. Nobody likes Doom Train in this playthrough. It just gets annihilated. Now Bahamut does have full lives. I think he did have a Kiraga. So Kiraga will be very useful to, it has Flare, Kiraga, full life, and Dispel. So he has spells to keep us into the fight if we get knocked out. Full life is, of course, the upgraded version of regular life, and it's a very, very powerful junction spell, just like life is, but even better. Now, if you fail to summon Doom Train, don't use full life, unless you're dead, of course. Use Meltdown and then cast Blind on Bahamut, and this will duplicate the effects of summoning Doom Train on him. Because with Bahamut, he has a number of attacks. He has his swipe attack, which hurts a lot. He does cast Thunder. He does cast Tornado. So if you have those elements equipped, you can basically have him waste his turn. Now, and we can get a little bit of HP from those spells as well. However, like all Bahamuts, he does have his signature attack, Mega Flare. Now, what makes this particular Bahamut kind of deadly is the fact that he can cast Mega Flare twice in a row if he wants to, because he has a very high speed, believe it or not, or he just has the ability to cast it twice. And then what makes this very deadly is that it ignores your spirit stat, which means you can't block it with your magic defense. However, you can use Shell to half it. And here is his signature attack, Mega Flare. And then he's just going to launch it, and then he's going to do a boatload of damage. Boop! Over 3,000. So if he had double cast that, I would have died, and that would have been very bad. But luckily he didn't do that, so I'm going to go ahead and cast Recover on Renoa, and that will take care of that. Now, Bahamut, if you do use Squall's Limit Break on him, he's guaranteed to hit Bahamut 6 times. And it's a special animation that is kind of cool. He basically jumps on his wings and starts messing the crap out of Bahamut, and then kind of like gets stuck on his horn or something like that, and then he hits him in the face again. It's a really cool animation. I'm going to use it in this battle, so we'll be able to watch Squall do that. Now, because this is a somewhat difficult boss fight, I'm not going to let myself get into the yellow with Squall unless he uses Mega Flare, but I think in this battle he's only going to use Mega Flare that one time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my items, and I will go ahead and use an Aura Stone. That Aura Stone will, of course, put Squall into instant limit break mode, and then he can start swiping at Bahamut to his heart's content. But we'll finish drawing those full lives, and then we will begin the attack on Bahamut. So right there, I'm just double checking first. I got all of his spells, but I guess for Zell, I'm going to go ahead and just keep drawing Flare. Flare is kind of useful. It's a high-end spell, but it's not the best high-end spell ever. That, of course, Honor goes to Ultima, and then if we were to do some shenanigans, we could get, I believe the spell's called Apocalypse. That's a enemy-only spell, but except for one battle, the last battle, but we don't really get to use that spell at all. Come on, Squall, hurry up. Or hurry up, Passfield. Use the Aura Stone. But not a hard boss fight once you understand how Bahamut works. The battle music. This is of course one of my favorite battle themes in Final Fantasy. It's probably my, not counting bosses. Well, I mean, I guess this is a boss fight. I can't really say that. But this is one of my favorite battle themes. This is probably like my third favorite battle theme behind Premonition and I forgot what the final boss theme is called. But we'll go ahead and skip that and go to Renzo Kuken. You see here, it's a very special animation. Squall jumps from wing to wing, gets on his face, jumps in the air, and smashes Bahamut in the face. And that will end the boss fight. Have you seen the light? Now, no, because you're blind now, Bahamut. So with that, we defeat Bahamut. We'll get him as a Guardian Force. We'll get a Hyperist in his card. Now the Hyperist will teach a Guardian Force. I want to say it teaches it strength plus 60%, I want to say. If I'm wrong, Future Phil can correct me. Hey, Trophy. And then Bahamut is going to say your destiny lies below or something like that, where we have to go further down. But we're not able to do that right away. So go to the Ragnarok, go and save. And when you save and go back, for some reason, that pathway will be opened. I don't really know why it does that, but it's always been that way. Now, with Bahamut that we just got, he comes with some pretty neat abilities. Now, out of the gate, he already has ability times 4 learned, plus 60% strength, and then plus 60% magic. So that's pretty good. You get real big jumps in your strength and magic if you have those abilities equipped. He can also learn Mug. He can learn Auto Protect, expand 2 by 1. Rare item and forbidden magic. Mug, I'm not going to talk too much about because we've been using it with Diablos, but it might be kind of useful to have a second party steal, but at this point we already got all the items we need, unless you just want to steal more items just to refine magic that you don't have. Auto Protect, it keeps protect on you all times. I really like the ability. Expand 2 by 1. For if a character is under double, you cast 2 spells. Instead of using 2 spells for your magic pool, you only use 1. So it's kind of useful to conserve magic. I find the times 3 is better, because times 3, well, I like to use 3 spells instead of 2 spells. Why not? Rare item makes it easier for you to get rare drops from winning battles, and forbidden magic is how we can refine some of the best magic in the game. And then lastly, we got Bahamut's card, which can be modded into 100 absolutely broken Mega Elixirs. The best instant heal in the game, which heals all your party members completely. Now, once we're done here with the junctioning and moving around my stuff, just so you see what my equipment looks like, we'll go ahead and go back into the Deepsea Research Center, and then we will tackle the middle part and the last part of the dungeon. The middle part is pretty tame in comparison to the last part. The last part absolutely sucks because you have to fight a lot of the hardest enemies in the game, and they are at much more higher levels than what you would normally have to deal with. And the reason for that is because that the Deepsea Research Center will actually calculate the levels a bit different. It'll calculate normally, but it'll add an additional 15 levels, I believe, to whatever that level is. So the enemy types will be a little bit, well, not a little bit, but a lot more difficult than what they normally would be. So even if you're doing a low level run, the enemies here will be whatever they normally are plus 15 more. So that could be enough to bump up into the next tier of levels that they would otherwise be in. So that's something to consider if you're doing low level runs. If you're going to a Deepsea Research Center, which you shouldn't even be doing this if you're going to do low level runs. You should just stop at Bahamut and turn right around, because the reward you get at the bottom you can get in the final dungeon. Now, we'll be introduced to a dungeon mechanic to proceed lower. Now, there's two ways to get to the bottom. There's one with Zell in the party, which is the ideal way and the way I'll be going about it. And the other way is to be conservative, which are steam units, and that they'll explain here. Now, you're given 20 steam pressure units, and this machine will explain the process. That this is a 6-level tower connecting to a rune at the bottom of the ocean. Now, to get to room, you need to use steam units to open up the passageways going down. Now, typically you're given 3 choices: a high level, a mid level, and a low level of steam units to use. Now, since I'm using Zell, I'm actually going to use the lowest amount that it's going to ask. Now, I don't necessarily know what advantage there is to using the high levels of steam units. Maybe it opens up to different rooms, but there is a chance that you can run out of steam units, and if you do, then there is a refill station that you'll be able to access part way down. I think you'll get like 7 if I read that part right. Now, with Zell, well, if you don't have Zell, there's 2 sections where you gotta use big chunks of steam units. The second to last steam pressure room is going to ask you for 4 if you don't have Zell, so you'll have to use that. And at the very bottom, you have to use 10. And right here, I'm just changing up. I think I picked 2 right there. So kind of interesting. But anyways, I digress. So that was the computer that will ask for steam units. I picked 4. Now, one visual thing I do like about Deepsea Research Center, as you go deeper and deeper, you'll notice that the ocean floor get darker, that animals that are down, the fishes that are down here are actually going to be a lot more different compared to the upper levels. I think that's really neat. It's a nice touch, and it's details like this that I appreciate in my games. Now we'll go down to the next level, and this right here, that room right there, I believe is where you would go if you had a low enough steam level. You can go in there and refill. So here I'm going to go ahead and use 1, I believe, or am I going to use 10 or 2? I think I'm just going to use 1, yes. So we'll go down, and the water level gets darker, so we're getting even deeper. So then we're at level 5, so now we'll go to level 6. So go down here, and then of course you have to approach from the stairs. You can't approach from the side. So we're on level 9, or I guess section 9, I guess. We'll go ahead and use 1 pressure unit. I don't even know if it really gives me the option. Does it really give me the option to use 0? Anyways, I always use 1. So now we'll go down. Now we cannot use any more pressure units because 10 is the number we need to unlock the contraption at the very bottom of the excavation site. Now, of course, there's enemy encounters here. These are not the enemy encounters that are much of a pain. These are relatively tame. This is actually a combination of enemies we'll encounter, and when we get to the last section of the Deepsea Research Center. But Odin's going to clean up the shop, so I'll go ahead and let Odin take care of that imp and the grindle. I'll explain the imp when we get to that last section of Deepsea Research Center. And of course, just make sure you have your Guardian Force abilities equipped that up your stats as you level up, because you're going to be getting a crap ton of experience down here. Now, once you get to this lift, this will take you to the second to last area that will ask for steam units if you don't have Zell. If you have Zell, then Zell will offer to take care of this machine here. Now, if you choose not to use Zell, Zell will not offer to do this again. So go ahead and do this. Now, of course, this saves you steam units, but this comes with a cost. When this door opens, the ruins, which is the last section of the Deepsea Research Center, there will be forced encounters on every floor, at least 3 on every floor. Now, these enemy encounters are going to be ranging from very difficult to not so bad. And there's only one party that's not so bad, and that's the imp and the grindle. But Zell will open this up, and Squall will be like, okay, maybe it's not so bad to ask Zell to help me out from time to time. So we save 4 units of steam, and then now we can go in, and so we find out that Zell's machine is short for fighting machine. Ha. Anyways, so now we can go to the final section. So be wary that the first section we're going to be fighting tri-faces, and you'll fight at least 3. I want to say you're going to fight 1 right here, right before the save point. So make sure you have confused equipped to your SAS defense junction, and make sure that you have fire equipped to your elemental junction attack. Now, for the record, a lot of these enemies can be beaten with the proper SAS attack junction, break and death. So what I like to do is I like to equip break on one of my characters, and then when I do remember, which I did not remember in this playthrough, is to equip death to another one of my party members. Squall, no, Zell's gonna have break. I think Squall actually has sleep, I think. But tri-faces are gonna be the enemy that you're gonna face in this first section of the ruins. Now, this enemy, I'm gonna go ahead and grind out its magic, which is gonna be pain, which is an awesome spell. It inflicts poison, blind, and I want to say maybe silence. But it's also a very great junction spell to your stats. So I'm going to go ahead and draw some of this magic, and I'll jump cut to where I beat it. Now, you also want, and that's poison gas. Poison gas will confuse your party members and confuse and poison them. So now I've already gotten all my drawing taken care of. So now I'm going to go ahead and beat this thing. Now, it's important to have Mug equipped and then the card ability equipped. Especially if you're trying to do a low level run, you're going to go ahead and tackle this for some reason, the Deepsea Research Center. You want to mug these things because this is your best chance to get 100 curse spikes. And in my case, I had 36 when I got to the bottom of this section that we're on, where we're fighting these tri-faces. And going back and forth to the start to the end, the force encounters will respawn, so you'll always be guaranteed at least 3 tri-face fights on this section, and I'm going to use that to my advantage because I'm going to mug like 6, I believe, from each tri-face, and then if you card them, their card will also refine into 1 curse spike, which means you get 7. So since I already got 36 by the bottom, I just got to fight 10, mug them, and then card them, and I'll have plenty of curse spikes to refine into a dark matter, which will teach Queestus or best limit break, which is Shockwave Pulsar. Now, if you don't plan on using Queestus, there's really no point in doing this, but occasionally I like to use Queestus, and I think for the second to last dungeon I actually use Queestus, so that's nice. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, the nice thing about Queestus' ultimate limit break Shockwave Pulsar is it has the ability to break the damage limit and do more than 9,999 damage. So I'm going to go ahead and show all the forced encounters. Once I encounter that forced encounter, I'm not going to show it again. So I'm not going to go back up and then down on the section and show every single forced encounter. I think that's a waste, but I want to show the forced encounters where they occur. And we're going to encounter another one right here as we go down the stairs. This will be another one, and this one will be a lot more easier because I already got the pains, I already got the flares. Now if you want to move those pains to another character so they have them, and then junction another 100, feel free. Actually, I don't think Zell got his 100, so Zell's going to go ahead and do that. Squall, I guess I didn't do that. I think I just I just got what I needed, and then actually no, I did actually. Did I move them? I want to say I moved them, but Renault will mug those 6 curse spikes, and then we'll card this tri-face, and then we'll get its card, and then that'll be 1 extra curse spike for the road. So not too bad. They are weak against fire. They have very strong physical attacks. Their most damaging attack is going to be poison gas, and when I say damaging, I mean they could have the ability to just straight up wreck your party if they're not protected against confusion. So that's done with that tri-face. We won't get any experience, but we will get the AP, which is nice for our guardian forces. So I went ahead and changed around my Guardian Forces a little bit, learned some new abilities because one of them learned a new ability. So every time you see me jump cut after a Guardian Force learns an ability, it's because I'm changing their ability that they're going to learn. Now, one thing about the Deepsea Research Center is having Odin's a double-edged sword, because Odin can absolutely save your bacon with some of these fights. Other times, it is not such a good thing if you're trying to do a low level run, because Odin doesn't give a shite about when or how you want him to summon. It's up on him when he wants to show up, so that's kind of a downside to having Odin. But if you don't really care about doing low level runs, Odin's a godsend for this. And the other thing about the Deepsea Research Center is because these enemies are so strong, and generally they're the more rarer enemies, you can steal a lot of magic from them and a lot of good items, like you're seeing me here do with these Tri-Faces. So that's one good thing. So you have an opportunity to get better quote-unquote equipment, aka spells, you know, to outfit your party with better, you know, stats and better defenses. But at this point, the game's not a challenge anymore for me, because I've already broken the game to the point where it really doesn't even, it's not going to pose much of a challenge unless I start unequipping my stuff. But yeah, at this point I have 36 curse spikes, so I'm going to go ahead and go back up and then force the random encounters, and then I'm going to jump cut back to when I have the 100 curse spikes, which isn't quite yet. I'm just showing off what I'm doing. What am I showing off? Yeah, I had sleep on Squall. I should have death equipped to Squall. Renoa and Zell have break. So now we're going to go up here, and I already got my 100 curse spikes. And it really only took me about 25 minutes if you check the times there on my menus. I think that's the other reason why I kept my menu there. So it only took me 25 minutes. It could take longer if you weren't collecting your curse spikes beforehand. But now I got my 100. I can go to my, I think it's Tool. I think it's Tool Refine, I believe. And then go find the curse spikes. And then we're going to we're going to refine them into a dark matter. And then from the dark matter, we will teach our lovely instructor Queesis Shockwave Pulsar, her ultimate limit break. And now at this point, we're only missing one of her limit breaks, which is Laser Cannon, I think. Which we will, or Homing Laser, which we will get that and one of the bosses in Lunatic Pandora. Now, this section right here that we're going to be going down, we're going to be fighting Grendels and Imps, which are probably the most tame of the encounters in this section. Now, Imps will cast Faraga, Blizzard, and Thundaga, as well as status magic like Berserk and Confuse when it's on the ground, like so. Now, when it starts to fly, it can cast Quake, Tornado, Meteor, and it also may use Holy when it dies. Now, they can be petrified with Break, so that's a good thing. They're not very difficult to beat up on, but, you know, they do have some nifty status magic that you can draw, like Confuse right there. So, you can do that. But just remember, they can be petrified, so that could be a good thing for you to do if you don't want to fight them. And Grendels, of course, as you see there, they can be paralyzed with sleep. They are susceptible to break as well, so they can be petrified. They use thunder magic, and they can also use their version of breath, which is thunder based. It will have also strong physical attacks like Tailblade. It's weak to wind and holy magic, and it can also be petrified with break. I think I already said that twice. I wrote that twice in my notes. If you can't tell, I'm going off the script. Sometimes I go off the script as well. But not too difficult. Not too difficult to deal with. This is absolutely the most tame encounters here. Consider what we're going to be fighting on the next floor if you're not prepared for it. And Zell right there petrified the Grendel, so we don't have to worry about that. Imp's going to try to confuse Renoa, but Renoa has Confusion Junction to her status defense, so we don't have to worry about that. Imps generally don't have a lot of HP, but in the blah 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 blah. Since we're using break, it doesn't really matter what the HP is, but they can still give out experience if you petrify them. What am I going to do? I don't think this is where I No, this isn't where I... Somewhere along the line, Cerberus will learn an ability. And I'm going to go ahead and use Amnesia Greens on it. I don't think it's happening yet. It's before the third area. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and have Zell start... Probably not drawing magic. We've already got all this good magicry. Zell, just go ahead and start punching and stuff. Later on, that imp's going to regret berserking Zell in one of the fights. Now, it's petrified, so I don't have to worry about it. It's no longer going to be a threat. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember what the characters look like when they're petrified in Final Fantasy. I don't think they turn gray like stone. I think they just get highlighted colors like the enemies right there. But, like I said, Grindles and Imps, not too difficult. But if you allow them to be a problem, they can absolutely be a problem. Especially if you don't have high vitality and high spirit. And you don't have the proper status junctions to prevent Berserk and Confusion. So here, not yet. It's one of these where I go into the menu that I'm going to teach Cerberus a new trick. Teach an old dog a new trick. I think this is the fight where it berserks Zell, and it absolutely is probably going to regret doing that. Now, oh, one more thing. If you do petrify an enemy, stop attacking it because you're not gonna do any damage to it. So just, you know, once it petrifies, stop attacking it. It's just gonna do 0 damage. It's effectively dead. Yep, this is where that imp regrets berserking Zell. But you know, you can leave Zell berserk. I feel like it's kind of like a strategy, like in Final Fantasy IV, in the early parts of the game where Cecil's a paladin. One of my strategies is I like to berserk Cecil and just have him attack, because at that point, really the only point of Cecil is just to attack. I mean, he might have some white magic, but it's not really great white magic. He's just basically an offensive fighter with some holy magic. I don't know, that might be a neat game to let's play, but I don't know. Out of the 3 Super Nintendo games, Final Fantasy IV is not my favorite. I like him in reverse order the best. I like 6, 5, and 4. But that's a game for another day. I don't know if I ever will let's play that. It's like I said, it's my least favorite of the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies. But here, I went ahead and I think Cerberus learned Evasion Junction. I went ahead and gave Squall Tornado on that Evasion Junction. You're here. So I'm gonna use Amnesia Greens on Cerberus. Because Cerberus has a lot of I think it has Status Defense Junction and Junction times 2 and Junction times 4. There's absolutely no need for Cerberus to have that on it. The times 4 obviously is good, but the Status Defense Junction 1 and times 2, he doesn't need it. They're redundant. So I'm going to use an Amnesia Green to unlearn that ability. And then just make sure you select not the times 4. If you select the times 4, you're going to be in a bad mood. So unlearn SAS Defense. I want to teach you HP Junction. That way Squall can have much more HP and be a little bit more spongier. Now this floor is going to have one of the more famous Final Fantasy enemies, the Behemoth. Now, as you can guess, it's going to be weak against break magic, but it's also very susceptible to death magic as well, which I don't have equipped. But break will be enough to get us through these fights. Now, these things have a lot of HP, not as much as a Morble, but they're very strong physically. And at their higher levels, they can counter physical attacks with Meteor, actually. So be wary about that. Now, when they die, they can also cast Meteor and Flare, which you're seeing them counter with Meteor right now. Now, a good thing about the Behemoths is they can be mugged for a barrier item, which will teach Croesus the Mighty Guard Limit Break, and I just petrified it right there. Now, I take that back. I have 2 limit breaks to learn: the Mighty Guard and Homing Missile. We're about to teach Croesus Mighty Guard here. Now, Mighty Guard, it's not as good in this game as it is in other Final Fantasies, and the reason why I'm saying that is because it only targets one party member, where other games it targets the whole party. Now, here, this Grindle and Imp, this is a random encounter. You can still have random encounters on this section, so don't be surprised if you find imps And don't be surprised if you fight a reskin of an Elvery, which we will see that on the very, very last random encounter before the super boss at the bottom. And yes, I said super boss. There's 2 of them in Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, I guess you could... I guess I really wouldn't class that. It just jacked up. But the boss at the bottom, I guess he really isn't a super boss because, I mean, he doesn't have an attack that can instantly destroy the entire party at once, like the true super boss in this game, Omega Weapon. But that ends the toast. We're going to go ahead and continue on, and we got a lot of experience right there. And we got some more curse spikes, why not? And don't be surprised if your Guardian Forces get a crap ton of levels here. So we'll fight one more Behemoth. This one, not so bad, of course. Again, I'm going to break this Behemoth. I'm going to petrify it, so it won't matter very much. And I remember way back in the day, when I first got here, and I was still very much a noob at Final Fantasy, I've just relied strictly on limit breaks and Guardian Forces, and my limit breaks were not that great. Only Squalls was really any good, and even then, all I had was the Flame Saber. I didn't know how to get any of the materials for the Lionheart weapon until much later. But going through this entire dungeon from start to finish, you relying only on Guardian Forces, like you're relying on your starter Pokemon from Pokemon. It's just painful. It just sucks. It's a miserable experience. And the funny thing is, like, I really only relied on Quasicult, Shiva, and Ifrit. I never really used any of the other ones. And also, I never had Doom Train when I was doing this as well. So, because I didn't know that we had to get Marlboro Tentacles, and Marlboros are very rare encounters. So, that's kind of a fun, not so fun memory from Phil 2 Reels past. But later on, when I got more experience, I was like, oh yeah, man, this is totally doable. A lot more doable than when it was what I was doing before. So Behemoth is petrified. We can continue. And I think back then, I don't even think I was using Zell and Renault. I think I was using Quistis and Selfie, I think, way back when. Let's see, what did we do there? I still have not used those strength ups. I'm very disappointed in myself for not doing that. What am I looking for? What are you looking for? Oh yeah, the barrier, because I just remembered. Oh yeah, I haven't taught Quistis barrier yet. Or Mighty Guard. One more fight, and then we'll be on to the 4th section, which is going to have a familiar enemy. But Behemoth, again, not difficult. Just petrify it or attack it with death magic. Or you can just have Odin, Mr. Death himself, just come in and absolutely just shite all over this Behemoth. I don't know why I was trying to combine Behemoth and Bahamut. You know, that would be a very interesting artwork to see a Behemoth merge with Bahamut. I mean, I can just see a Bahamut like with normal horns and then like tusks on its face like a Behemoth. That'd be an interesting artwork to see. I don't know. Maybe I'll go scour the internet and try to see if there's something similar to that. I doubt it. So now this next section here, we're going to be fighting Ruby Dragons. So we've already talked about Ruby Dragons. We're going to take them down using the same strategy we did when we fought Bahamut. You're going to keep Fire Magic equipped to your Elemental Defense Junction, Blizzard in your Elemental Attack Junction, and then use Break in your Sass Attack Junction. And of course, be wary about its Breath Attack. It's physical, and it will not use Breath unless all 3 of your party members are still alive. Once you lose one, it will never use Breath. And then hope to God that it doesn't back attack you with that attack, because it is physical, it's not magical, which means it will do more damage when your back is turned against it, so not fun at all. And somewhere down here in this Ruby Dragon filled area, I'm going to get energy crystals, and oh yeah, this fucking just cuss right there. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, this freaking Ruby Dragon, I realized I did not. Oh, I'm pissed at myself. I just realized this. I have Fire Magic equipped to both Zell and Squall. And I think when the Ruby Dragon absorbs the attack, it will, it doesn't, I don't think it will register the status attack junction magic. So even though Squall has sleep on his status defense or status attack, it's not going to register it, I don't think. And then Zell's break, not going to work either. And that, to make matters even worse, you can't run from these fights. You absolutely cannot run from these forced encounters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Zell and Squall use their spells or draw the spells from the Ruby Dragon to attack. But I think what I'm going to, and this thing's not using breath either, so this makes me think this is one of the mid-tier Ruby Dragons. This thing's just trolling me at this point. I'm not going to use breath. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to lower you down to yellow health and have you limit break the shite out of me. So, oh, this is painful to watch. I'm so sorry. But after this fight, I think I fix it. I'm just like, is this non-elemental? Fun fact, you can hit pause on a magic or command and it will say what it does. So that's what I did there. I pressed pause on Flare to make sure it's non-elemental. And I don't have any Guardian Forces equipped to my character's Keki, so I can't use Guardian Forces to do extra damage. I just have to rely on Flare, and I have to rely on Meteor to do decent damage. Okay, that makes me a whole lot better to see Zell in that yellow. So Zell's going to use Duel. Now the good thing about being in limit breaks, your elemental magic is not going to be added to these limit breaks, so that's very good for me. So I can do some serious damage to these Ruby Dragons. Now, unfortunately, Ruby Dragons do have quite a bit of vitality, so it has very high magic or physical defense. Now I'm looking at this Ruby Dragon. It just looks like it's smiling. So like, ha ha ha, you can't do much damage to me. But I'm just going to suplex the absolute shite out of this thing. 6,080. That has absolutely nothing to do with Sabin's suplex, which I know it's Meteor Strike, but it's always going to be suplex to me. I don't really give a damn. It's suplex, and it will always be suplex to me. Gosh darn it. Okay, alright, Zell. Oh, that might be a good thing. Now you decide to freaking use breath. Now that will lower Renoa to her yellow, and that actually didn't do almost nothing to Squall in comparison. Zell's like, ugh! But of course we knocked Zell out of limit break status. That's rather unfortunate. So we're going to have to rely back on using Draw and Flare. I was hoping to take that thing out. I was really hoping to take care of that thing. You know what? I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump cut this fight. This is absolutely ridiculous. So I think we've been on this fight long enough. Let me just pause it right about here, and we're back. So with that, we'll go ahead and take out this Ruby Dragon. I was finally able to get my HP down to yellow. It did decide to use Breath, and with a combination of Breath and Meteor, I got Zell and Squall down to a yellow. And so that's what I used to exterminate this Ruby Dragon. And let that be a lesson to you folks. Always make to, you know, proper planning prevents piss poor production. So make sure that you do not have fire magic equipped to your elemental attack when you're fighting these Ruby Dragons, because that's not fun at all. Now here, I'm just going to go ahead and show myself equipping the Blizzaga magic to my regular attacks, because, you know, I made a stupid mistake right there. But yeah, they also have very high spirit, which means they have very high magic defense, which is also why I wasn't doing quite a lot of damage when I was, you know, for that fact, using Blizzard from Squall's own magic pool. Well, Blizzaga from Squall's own magic pool, and then not to mention drawing magic also is kind of weak as well. It weakens it normally more than what it would be if you cast out of your own pool. Now, I would also, right here, I'm just double checking like if I have all my Quesis limit breaks at this point. The only one I'm missing is Home and Laser. So, you know, just make sure you don't have fire magic equipped. Make sure you have break magic equipped, and sleep magic, and death magic, and all that. I really should have just taken off sleep off of Squall and just have break magic equipped. But here also, I'm going to get I didn't quite learn my lesson from the other fight, but I do end this fight a lot faster than the other ones because I'm going to actually be using limit breaks to take out these ruby dragons. So between Squall's regular attack and Zell's limit breaks, because he's going to decide to breathe on my characters again, which I was a little bit more prepared, even though I barely survived that. That would be very unfortunate if I didn't equip a little bit more vitality magic on my characters. Well, actually, no, I don't think I changed my vitality magic on my characters. I think I just left it alone. I just Junction Blizzard on my elemental attack. So, I didn't do that yet, but, you know, it is worth noting to do that. Faded Circle, a limit break that hits all the enemies. So, it's about the same as Rough Divide. Not as strong as Blasting Zone, definitely not as strong as Lionheart, but it is a rather useful limit break when it does, a limit break finisher for Squall when it does activate. Of course, Lionheart's always going to be the best one, but you know, you can't pick, and it's not so bad as long as he uses a finisher. And Zell, of course, is going to just make nice with Ruby Dragon and beat its ugly face in with punches and knees to the face. And then we'll finish off with a suplex or Dolphin's Blow. Just like we're going to use Dolphin Blow. Boop! And the Ruby Dragon's still not dead. Okay, well, that's not good. Well, the good thing about Meteor is if your character goes down, they can still get hit by those meteors. And absorb like a hit from for another character. But Squall's going to finish this off with Renzo Kukin with the 4-hitter. I don't think we're going to get a finisher, but that's enough to take it out. So it's done. Done like dinner. They also drop energy crystals, so in Fury Fragments. Fury Fragments are kind of nice because not only are they useful for Zell's final weapon equip, but it is cool because you can use status support magic refine on it to get aura spells. I think this Ruby Dragon is going to drop some energy crystals for me to use to refine Renault's weapon from the Cardinal to the Angel Wing. And one thing I do like about this mod, Angel Wing goes from like this yellow hue of a weapon to a pure white weapon, like Angel Wings are probably supposed to look like. And over there I'm having a moment where I forgot how to input a command. But we're going to suplex it for 9,999. And my final heaven is Zell's quote-unquote ultimate limit break. It's his final one he learns from Combat King, and it shows that he's actually the Flash. But this finisher is definitely not as good as just using Punch Rush and Booyah just to do just raw damage. But it is a cool looking limit break. It's, 2,500. The suplex did way more than that. But Squall is going to go ahead and jump into the fray and do some limit breaks. And the Ruby Dragon's not dead yet, but we'll be able to do one more. I think this Renzo Kukin, and then another duel, if I'm looking at my timeline right, will finish it off. So we'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, we're almost done with this section of Deepsea Research Center. We got one more Ruby Dragon fight, and then we got one more random fight, and then 3 mandatory fights. So Zell's going to finish off this dragon, and I think I want to try to Meteor Strike this dragon eventually. I'm just mixing it up because this thing should already be almost dead. But if you suplex an enemy that already is about to die, I believe, I think it'll oh yeah, different beat. This is another one of Zell's limit break finishers. But if you try to Meteor Strike an enemy that's already dead, I don't think it does any damage. Different beat is probably one of my more favorite Zell's finishers, even though I don't use it. It reminds me of, I don't know if I'll ever play this game either. I keep throwing out all these RPGs I like, but I probably won't let's play just because of the sake of time. But Xenogears is another one of my favorite Square JRPGs, and different beat reminds me of one of Faye's Death Blows. I think it's Hagen or Hagen. I forget. It's the third one. I think it's Square X. I don't know why I've always liked that Death Blow finisher on Faye, and that just reminds me of it. But I thought I had like just a little bit more to go. I guess I was wrong. But yeah, Zell. I guess another reason why I like Zell, I just realized it now. He reminds me of Faye in the sense that they're both martial artists. I mean, Zell absolutely looks nothing like Faye Fong Wong from Xenogears, but it's I just have this comparison. I have this view now of Faye with like Zell's Mike Tyson tattoo on his face, and Zell with like Faye's long ass ponytail. But anyways, I digress. This should be enough to take out the Ruby Dragon. Like I said, once it gets to like 0 HP, Suplex does nothing to it. And actually, I wanted to say after seeing that Suplex might be like a gravity type attack, quote unquote, because if it has no HP to lose, it probably doesn't do anything. But that's just a theory on my part. I don't really use any of Zell's other limit breaks other than Punch Rush and Booyah. But here I got energy crystals, so I'm gonna go ahead and refine or upgrade Renault's weapon to the shooting star, which honestly it doesn't really matter. It doesn't upgrade her magic power, it just upgrades raw attack and hit. Now, finally, this second to last part in the Deepsea Research Center's last section is going to include Iron Giants. Now, luckily, the first fight, I did see that it was dragging on quite a bit because I forgot to equip magic commands and guardian forces, of course, because Doom Train is a godsend against these Iron Giants. So the fight does kind of drag on a little bit, but I already went ahead and edited some of it. So we'll see about, I don't know, a minute and a half of these Iron Giants, and then I'll just jump cut to where I defeat them with Squall and Zell. Now, Iron Giants are another classic Final Fantasy enemy. They come in pairs in this, so that's kind of a crazy thing on its own, because up until we fought Imps and Grendels, which are not very strong enemies on their own, these on the other hand are very strong. They have insane physical attack and defense, because you know, you can see all the fucking muscles on it. I'll just go ahead and say it. Well, they're very susceptible to sleep magic as well. As you can see there, they're just nodding off like the brutes they are. Now, they're weak against thunder magic, so you can use that. If you also have thunder magic equipped to your elemental attack, that'll also boost some of the damage. But they have insane physical defense, so you don't do a lot of damage. So even though I'm doing a couple thousand, they just tank that. They have a lot of HP. Now, if you do cast Doom Train on them, they're going to become very, very jokey enemies, because all they have is physical attacks. So if you cast Doom Train on them, they will not only go to sleep, they'll lose all their defense because they'll be inflicted with Vitality 0, and they'll be blinded as well, which means they can't hit you. So they can't hit worth a damn. And then they also have Mighty Guard as well, so they can cast that on themselves, which means they'll have Protect on them, which further increases their defenses against physical attacks. Limit breaks are what I use, and it's kind of funny hearing Protect half all of Squall's Renzo Kukin hits, but they're gone. And one of their good items they drop and that you can steal are Star Fragments, which Star Fragments you can use them for some weapon refines, like Selfies, I believe, and I want to say Irving's. Some of Squall's weapons also require Star Fragments, but really I don't worry about those because I have the Lionheart. But they also, if you're big in some of the Guardian Forces, they also teach Guardian Forces the summon magic up plus 20%, which is very nice. I think it's 20%. I don't think it's 30, because 30, I believe, is energy crystals. I believe that teach that. And then I want to say that if you have so many Star Fragments, I think they can also refine into some. I want to say they refine to 3 stars. In 3 stars, you can teach a Guardian Force the 3x1 ability, which means expand 3x1, which means if you have a character that has triple on them, they use triple. Instead of using 3 spells, they use 1. I want to say they have that, but I'm not entirely sure. That's Doom Train. We finally get to see Doom Train. So Doom Train just made these enemies a joke. So now they have no vitality. So Squall is just going to be doing a crap ton of damage right there. I think right there he did like at least 20,000, maybe 30,000 with that, and then Rough Divides is going to do even more. So that enemy is just dead. Squall just destroy that enemy. And so, like, I just use Squall's limit breaks. I just leave Squall in yellow. If he goes down, I'll just revive him. I don't really care if the value for his KOs, if you have the battle meter, goes up. I'm not too interested in that. I'm just interested in taking out these enemies in a very effective, quick manner. They also, I think they're weak against break as well, but for whatever reason, I'm just have sleep on my attacks. Probably because I just use the auto junction right away as soon as I go into my character stats and equips. But that Iron Giant is done. I wanted to call it Steel Giant for a second, but those two give out six star fragments. They also gave me 1,000 experience, which is enough for a guaranteed level up. Now this is my last Iron Giant fight, so not too crazy. But they also have haste on their magic pull, so that's also very useful. So I mean, you can, use haste and then give it to Squall, and then Squall goes even faster. So we can have them use Renzo Kukin. Oh, they 1,200. But that puts them lower in HP, which means his crisis level goes up. And then, I don't think I've talked about crisis level for limit breaks, but it's kind of late to talk about, but I'll talk about it nonetheless. The lower your HP is, the more your crisis level goes up. If you have a high crisis level, then you have a better chance of having the best outcome for your limit breaks. In Squall's case, it's his number of hits that he does for Renzo Kukin. I don't think it influences his finisher. I think the finishers have a flat, 25% chance of happening. So I want to say it is. I don't know the mathematics behind it, but basically the higher the crisis level is, the lower HP you have based upon your max, then the better the outcome for the limit breaks are, which in Zell's case is more time, Irving's is more time, Selfie's is the better chances for honor slots, a better magic that comes up. Oh, and I think they're stopped as well. I think they have stopped on them as well from Doom Train. I digress. For Quistis, I want to say it does more damage. For Renoa, Angela, if he's combined, Angela has a better chance of using one of its more powerful ones. I don't think the crisis level affects Renoa's Angel Wound either. It only affects Angelo. But yeah, these Iron Giants are not... Actually, I guess they don't have stop. I think they're just slowed down. But once you hit them with Doom Train, they're not a threat no more. Their physical attacks are neutered by their blindness. They have no defense whatsoever, which is what their main saving grace is, other than their high attack. But the high attack is neutered on blind. So these things are just giant paperweights that just need to be taken down. And it's still not dead. Fancy that. But that protect is definitely saving it. This Renzo Kukin should be enough right here to take it out. Or at least have like one more, I think. But we'll see. Blasting Zone. I don't know why, but I always thought Blasting Zone. I didn't think it was like... Well, I don't know. I still think it's like... Squall Sword gets... Well, nah. I'm not going to talk about that. But long story short, I always thought Blasting Zone was a bullet that shot out of Squall Sword, but it gets longer and he just brings it right down on his enemy. But there's a Ultima draw point right there by that crystal, but we got a random encounter, and it's an Eleanal, and honestly, up until this point, I never once encountered an Eleanal, so this is a complete surprise for me. That's why I paused the game right there. But Eleanals, they're a reskin of an Elverit, which is that boss we fought in the Dalit communication tower. Call me lucky. I didn't think this was going to come up because I didn't know it even existed. But we'll fight these things a lot more in Estar later. But they drop energy crystals, which we can also use for pulse ammo, upgrades for weapons. We can also mug moonstones from them to refine it to holy and upgrade Irving's weapon. They're weak to death magic. And they can also cast it on us, which is bad. They use Storm Breath every 6 turns, and they can counter physical attacks with their own on occasion. And like I said, this will be a very useful enemy to farm back in S-Star for energy crystals. Um, so this was very unexpected. Doom Train will blind it, and of course use Vitality 0. I think Doom Train is a guaranteed Vitality 0 on all enemies. That's a given. But we'll see here. I think it blinds it as well. What do we get? It's blinded. It looks like it's poisoned. It has Doom cast on it, and it's asleep. So that thing is not going to be very much of a threat anymore. And even if it wasn't, Zell's probably going to just punch this thing into oblivion. Now, if I had Zell's, I think I don't have Zell's strength maxed out yet. But when you have Zell's strength maxed out and they have Vitality 0, you're going to be doing a crap ton of damage per hit. As you can see there, my Punch Rush and Booyahs are doing just as much damage as my Final Heaven and different beat. So, yeah. So, very, 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 very useful to use Doom Train on bosses, especially the super bosses, even though they tend to hate Doom Train. But, yeah. This Elnor is not much of a threat anymore. Especially with blind, it's not going to be hitting us with physical attacks. But I don't know. Well, I guess I can understand, but not understand. I don't understand why it's a reskin of an Elnor. I would like to say they had more memory to work with, that they could have just given us a unique model. I can't think of any other enemies except for Goboldian soldiers and S-Star soldiers that are reskins. Yeah, I can't think of any other enemies, but oh no, the Behemoth and Catapos fight. I can never pronounce that boss's name. The Red Giant. Never mind, I take that back. The Red Giant and the Iron Giant fight. But with that, there's an ultimate draw point here. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Squall. And then we are going to go down here to the lowest level. And there's a save point here that you can find with Move Find. I would highly encourage you to save your game right there, because once you activate that final panel right there with your 10 Steam units, you're going to go straight into a super boss fight with the boss that's down here. Now, the boss also has the final Guardian Force Eden inside of it, so make sure you draw it. So we're going to do a little bit of prep work here. Make sure everyone has the draw command. Someone has the revive and possibly recover if you want. Doom Train so that it can be summoned to inflict Vitality 0 on the boss. And the reason why you won't have draw and altered characters is this is one of 2 bosses that has Ultima in its draw pool. So this is one of the best chances you can get to get 300 Ultimas, 100 Ultimas for each character in your party. So if you care about that, that's what I would recommend. That's what I'm going to do. Make sure your characters have high magic so you can draw those Ultimas in high amounts. Your physical attackers have strong and, well, high strength. Quake magic be equipped in your elemental magic defense. That way you can resist a attack and make it potentially waste an attack. If you want to make this boss a complete joke, you can refine Gilgamesh for 10 Holy Wars, or you can refine or card mod Laguna's card. Gilgamesh for 10 Holy Wars and Laguna's card for 100 heroes. That will make the boss unable to hit you and will not be able to do any damage. So you can choose the fight that way. That's what I'm going to use for Omega Weapon, but I've never had to do that with this boss, but you can absolutely do that. So I'm getting rid of all my bonus abilities because I'm not going to gain any experience, so I'd rather have the raw stats. This boss can be very difficult if it decides to be. So just double checking all my stuff. I don't think any of my characters have Quake magic equipped to their elemental junction. I forgot about it, but it does use Quake, and that's kind of a damaging magic if you let it be, if you don't have high spirit. But my characters will be able to survive that no problem. I'm buying Phoenix Downs, I'm buying X potions, and all that, because this boss has instant kill attacks, which will automatically kill a character, not all your characters. But it also has the ability to potentially cast that twice in a row. So you do not want to leave anything to chance with this. So make sure you also have the item command equipped. So use your 10 steam units here to resume the operation on the bottom of this ruin. And something I'd like to know is like, what is the purpose of this device? Were they trying to dig up some kind of relic, or were they trying to dig up some kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe that's something in the expanded universe material, Final Fantasy VIII, and some of the extra like stories or magazines that explain some of the story. But I just want to know, like, hey, why does the leader not get to take shelter when this operation resumes? I mean, did they know that it was going to summon, spoiler alert, Ultima weapon? But is that also why this ruined civilization died out, because of Ultima weapon? But right here, we're going to be engaged in Ultima weapon. So very, very difficult fight if you allow it to be. Now, first things first, draw Eden from this thing, because this is the last and final guardian force of the game. If you don't draw it from this fight, it's not a big deal. You can draw it from one of the bosses in the final dungeon. So that's what I'm going to do. And we got Eden. Eden's the last and most powerful guardian force in terms of damage in the game. Now, let's talk about Ultima Weapon. Ultima Weapon has an instant kill attack called Light Pillar. This will kill the character it's aimed at, which in my particular case, 90% of the time it's going to be Zell for some reason. It can cast Gravaja if you decide to try and summon a Guardian Force, which is why Doom Train died. And Doom Train always dies. Everyone just hates having Doom Train cast. If Doom Train fails to be summoned, they use Meltdown to negate its defenses. It can use Meteor, so that also sucks. So that's kind of bad. Its magic pull is pretty unimpressive, with the exception being Ultima. And like I said, this is the first time you can draw 300 Ultimas, 100 per person. If you want to pursue this, which I highly recommend and encourage you to do so, it's worth it, because you could junction it to any of your stats to give it a big boost, or you can junction it to your elemental defenses to make yourself immune to all elements, which could be useful. But I like to have the raw stats. Now, once you finish drawing Ultima and Eden, you can proceed to pummel this thing with whatever you want. Physical attacks, if it has Vitality 0. You can also have your magic caster cast Ultima from this draw pool. You'll do a good decent amount of damage, about 4,000 per cast, which I think that's what I have Renoa do. I'd rather not use Angel Wing with Renoa, because I don't have her magic pull prepared for that. But this is Light Pillar, and it's going to go after Squall in this case. I'd say it went after Squall about a total of 2 times, maybe 3 times at the most, but all of the rest it used on Zell. It maybe did it once or Renoa, but not on Zell at all. Now, one thing about Ultima Weapon that's really neat about it is if you use Renzo Kuken on it, you get a unique animation, and you're guaranteed 7 hits with Squall on it. But unfortunately, I forgot to use Renzo Kuken on this fight with Ultima Weapon. But because, I love y'all guys so much, and if you're sticking with me to this far into this 1 hour and 11-minute part, I went ahead and re-recorded this fight just for y'all, so y'all can see that limit break. So I hope y'all appreciate this. So let's go ahead and jump cut to the second part of this fight, which I already casted Meltdown on it. So he has very, very low defenses. He's taking a crap ton of damage, and I think what I'm going to use to finish it off, I'm going to have Renoa cast Ultima. I've already showed you all of its attacks. I've already showed you that Zell's about to get mollywalked here with Light Pillar. Actually, I think I've only shown Zell get knocked out by Light Pillar once, but the entire time I was drawing Ultimas, he was getting Light Pillared like no one's business. Actually, we still have a little bit more of the fight left to go, so we're just going to let them keep fighting it. So Zell, I was hoping to get Zell to kill him with his limit break, but didn't quite happen. But we got a decent amount of time on there because this crisis level was kind of high. So Punch Rush Booyah, he's just going to do a crap ton of damage. And I really, really have to bring out that this is my favorite design of Ultima Weapon, because it has Cloud's Ultima Weapon as its weapon. And then I just like this design of two monsters fused. The bottom half is like some kind of like demon lion. No, it's not really a lion, but that's what it gives me the imagery of. And then it just has this warrior that's like merged onto it from the top with Cloud's weapon. I just like that design. This is my favorite version of Ultimate Weapon, and nothing can really change my mind about that. The only one that kind of comes close is the one from Final Fantasy VI. So, Light Pillar, just going to hit Zell with it, because, you know, F Zell. Oh, poor Zell. But yeah. And then Renault is going to cast a finishing blow with Ultima. As it's shown that it's about to blow up and die, I'm just going to go ahead and jump cut to Squall's Renzo Kuken. This is probably my second favorite Renzo Kuken in the game. One of Squall's Renzo Kukens on the final boss is actually my favorite Renzo Kuken. Because there's multiple forms, of course. In Final Fantasy, you gotta have multiple forms on a final boss. Otherwise, it's not Final Fantasy. With that, we defeat Ultima Weapon. We have Eden. We got 300 Ultimas on Zell, Renoa, and Squall. If you don't steal from Ultima Weapon, which you probably shouldn't have that equipped because you want raw stats, but you'll get 100 Ultima stones, which means you can refine those into 100 more Ultimas on a fourth person. You also get Eden's card. I'll talk more about Eden and Eden's card in the next part. But yeah, we're done with the Deepsea Research Center. There's nothing left for us to do. I will go ahead and show off the Ultima stones, but that's it. There's nothing to do with this super hard dungeon. When we get back, I got a little bit of deciding on what to do, because I don't know if I want to show the Lake Abel side quest or if I'm going to go and go straight to plot. But that's it for this, folks. I'll catch you in the next one. Later and bye, and thank you for sticking around.